What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? We are just getting finished with UFC 286. We're going to be doing a little recap here. But before we get into that, don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you are new here. And without further ado, let's get into the first fight of the main card. We've got Marvin Vettori versus Roman Dolidze. I finally got that pronunciation right. I had him winning in my predictions, but Marvin Vettori came out with the W. I was surprised it was unanimous number one, and number two, I was surprised a judge had the scoring 30-27. Now, in my opinion, me scoring the fight live, I had Marvin Vettori and Roman Dolidze 1-1 going into the third round. Roman Dolidze had Marvin Vettori very hurt in that third round, and I thought was just looking like the better fighter in the third round. So in my scoring, I had it 1-1. You give one more round to Roman Dolidze. He should have won the fight. Either way, it was a good fight from both guys. They were throwing with a lot of fucking power. These guys had 100% power in almost every fucking shot. Roman Dolidze was definitely throwing that right hand constantly. Marvin Vettori, though, also I believe had his left hand that was pretty powerful. But in the first round, Roman Dolidze actually had Marvin Vettori stunned, and I thought possibly could have finished him. Maybe that's me speculating a little bit, but it was with a jab, and I thought it was pretty powerful for a jab, and Marvin Vettori to be stunned by that, I thought was pretty impressive. Hats off to Marvin Vettori, though. He did take the W, so, you know, you got to give some respect where it is deserved. Now on to the ladies' fight. We had Jennifer Maia going up against Casey O'Neill, and if there is a definition of pure domination, this was that fucking fight. Jennifer Maia was fucking quick on her feet. She took the words of Muhammad Ali right to heart. Move like a butterfly, sting like a bee, and that is exactly what she was doing. She was in and out, and Casey O'Neill had absolutely nothing on her. She just really didn't have an answer for Jennifer Maia's movement, in my opinion, and she didn't manage the distance well. To me, she had at least an inch or two of a reach advantage and wasn't really using her kicks at all. So I really think that she could have done a little bit more to manage that distance well, which I think would have won her the fight if she did have some sort of game plan like that. But either way, Jennifer Maia was coming out on top. I don't really think she went for any takedowns in this fight, but I do think if she did, that she probably would have whooped her ass even more, because Casey O'Neill, I believe, has a boxing background, so probably wouldn't look too well on the ground if it went there. But Jennifer Maia is definitely going to be moving up in this flyweight division and looking absolutely fantastic in it. Going on to the only finish of the night, we had Gunnar Nelson going up against Bryan Barberena, and I honestly had Gunnar Nelson winning this. I actually learned about his jiu-jitsu career and his ADCC placing fourth only 3 years into it, which was pretty impressive to me. So once I heard that, I was a big fan of Gunnar Nelson, and he used that jiu-jitsu absolutely almost right off the bat. He got a leg hook takedown kind of mixed with a body fold takedown, and right from there he went right into a half guard sort of position where he was there for about 20 seconds, 30 seconds trying to get into a mount transition. And once he got that high mount, it was absolutely over. I actually predicted him getting the arm bar right when he got to that high mount. I kind of saw him trying to trap the hand. Once he trapped that hand, he fucking looped over into that arm bar and started fucking pulling back right away. Bryan Barberena ended up tapping, and we had a first round finish just like that. Overall, was just a really good start to the co-main and main events. It definitely wasn't getting boring, but each fight kind of was just getting better and better and better. And this fight was just really exciting with the first round finish to an armbar. It wasn't a knockout or anything. It was right away to an armbar and pretty dominant from Gunnar Nelson. Shout out to Gunnar Nelson for taking a W, and hopefully we see him in some more legendary fights like this. I'm not saying he's having the most legendary fights, but I do think that these guys are at the top end of their UFC careers. So I do think that this fight was pretty entertaining in general, and I think that the possibility of him fighting someone else like a Nate Diaz-esque type of fighter, I think is definitely possible, and I hope happens, because I thought it was pretty entertaining in general. So shout out to Gunnar Nelson, and hopefully we see you again soon. Also want to mention Gunnar Nelson with that first round submission ended up getting the performance of the night, which I really wasn't expecting at first, but now looking back at it, I'm like, he definitely deserved that shit with the only finish. So shout out to Gunnar Nelson for getting that performance of the night. Like I was saying though, that was setting up the co-main and main event event, and in the co-main event, we had Justin Gaethje going up against Rafael Fiziev, and I predicted in my prediction video that this fight was going to be fight of the night, and ladies and gentlemen, I was right on point. Justin Gaethje and Rafael Fiziev went fucking at it. They were throwing 100% with every shot, and just 100%, I think, really, of all their strength, their speed, their agility, their dodging. Like, they were constantly going back and forth in this fight. I really thought Fiziev kind of really looked pretty good in the first round, but Justin Gaethje in the second and third round just went absolutely ham on Rafael Fiziev. And if you look at what Rafael Fiziev looked like in the beginning of the second compared to the end of the third, or even the beginning of the third and the end of the third, he looked like a whole entire different fucking person after Justin Gaethje had something to do with him. So obviously with that, I think you can predict who won this fight. Justin Gaethje came out with the unanimous, I think it was actually a majority decision, because one guy had the fight 27-27, which I thought was kind of weird, but Justin Gaethje came out with the win. I thought Rafael Fiziev looked good in the beginning, but I think Justin Gaethje is just used to being in that high cardio environment later in the fight, because he's had 4 out of his last fights be title shots. So I think he's used to having that high cardio environment in that later round. So he definitely looked like the better fighter in the third round. And just with damage wise, he looked like he didn't really take as much damage as Rafael Fiziev. But also at the same point, Rafael Fiziev had a cut above his right eyebrow. And I literally told Steven in the watch party right beforehand, because they zoomed up real close on him, I saw that cut and said, that shit's gonna get cut real easy in this fight, because I could just expect that they were gonna go for elbows and knees, and that is exactly what happened. Rafael Fiziev actually looked really good with his flying knees and knees in general, so shout out to Rafael Fiziev. He's definitely, I think, got a little bit more to learn, because Justin Gaethje just had so much more experience than him, especially just against high-ranked guys in this lightweight division, which is already fucking stacked. So Rafael Fiziev, I think, is just, in a year or two gonna add to one of those names of being in the top 5 high-ranked guys in this lightweight division. Exciting to see what happens for both of these guys next. Shout out to Justin Gaethje for getting that W. Now it is time for the main event of the evening. We've got Kamaru Usman and Leon Edwards. It was one that we've all been waiting for, I think, all since Leon Edwards first won the belt back in, I think, sometime in summertime, fall time of 2022. I think a lot of people thought Kamaru Usman was gonna come out and look good. At least I did. Maybe a lot of other people, definitely in the UK, thought Leon Edwards was going to still come out on top in this third fight, and that is what he ended up doing. Leon Edwards coming out and securing the W, securing and still his first title defense as the welterweight champion, and it looked really good doing it, honestly. I think Kamaru Usman had a little bit of stiffness to him. He looked a little stiff. I had one guy in my chat saying he definitely looked stiff. I do know that Kamaru Usman definitely is still at the top of this division, but I also know that Leon Edwards is getting better as a fighter. His takedown defense, which I was talking about back in my predictions video, he brought exactly what I said he needed. Every time Kamaru Usman went for any sort of takedown, he stuffed it right away, and at most only really let it get to his knees. And every time he was taken down, he stood back up to his feet. So really didn't take any damage on the ground. And when the fight was on its feet, he dealt all the fucking damage there was to deal. Definitely caught Kamaru Usman with a lot of kicks, especially in the later rounds. I think just really looked phenomenal, especially landing those kicks in the beginning of the fight, which I think he invests in a lot more. So later in the fight, the kicks start to really kind of settle in after you've been putting all your weight on it for so long and moving your legs that much after getting hit 40 fucking times. And Leon Edwards was even limping out of that arena, which a lot of guys do, but still, I think that just goes to show how much he was really putting into those kicks. Caught Kamaru Usman in the beginning of the fight with a really big body shot, which I think really Usman took a lot of damage to, but kind of tried to hide it. But either way, Leon Edwards was looking absolutely phenomenal in this fight. Now, when it comes to people that he might face next, Colby Covington was talking all the shit in that arena. He was obviously the backup fighter for this fight and was talking all the shit. Leon Edwards in the post-fight press conference and in the post post-fight interview was talking about how Colby Covington hasn't fought in a year. He hasn't fought anybody recently, or, you know, he said in the post-fight interview he hasn't fought any big names, but he definitely hasn't fought anybody recently after that Jorge Masvidal win, but then getting assaulted by Jorge Masvidal right after. Kind of a weird and sticky situation he got into there. Obviously, he didn't get himself into that situation. Jorge Masvidal got him into that situation. All he did was show up and win the fight, so I feel for Colby Covington there a little bit. And honestly, I think a Colby Covington versus Leon Edwards fight would be very entertaining. I think, you know, having that style of a wrestler versus a striker, it's always been the formula for UFC to have really entertaining fights, and I think that fight has it. I know Jorge Masvidal and Gilbert Burns are fighting on April 8th, which is coming up, so maybe the winner of that will face Leon Edwards, or maybe the winner of that will face Usman, or the loser. Who knows? But a lot of stuff can happen in the future of the UFC, which is what we like to see. We've got Stipe Miocic for John Jones confirmed in the summertime, so tune in this Saturday. Corey Sandhagen versus Chito Vera. We're going to be going live at 6 o'clock, 6:30 p.m. The date will be solidified, or the time will be solidified later. Do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you are new here. And with that, guys, have a great fucking day.